All right, raise your hand, everybody in the Delaware Valley, if you had a sigh of relief last night in the 10th inning when Cameron Rupp laced this double to left center field that cleared the bases. 2 strikeouts before this left this game hanging, and the Phils walked away with the victory and walked away with a 5-5 road trip. There's change, though, in the air. Earlier today, Tommy Joseph officially was added to the Phillies roster from Lehigh Valley. He was off to an outstanding start for the Iron Pigs. Unfortunately, Darren Ruff has been optioned down to Lehigh Valley. Pete Macadam sent him out and said, listen, we need to get you some at-bats to get you back to where you were in spring training and also last year. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. We get set for Tommy Joseph to make his Major League debut, and if everything works out well, this could be one of the best stories in all of Major League Baseball. A former top prospect as a catcher makes the conversion to first base and finally finds a swing.
He has found his swing, and it's nice to see him really battle through all these injuries. Concussions are something you really can't mess with. Unfortunately, he had to deal with them throughout the last couple years, but he has put it together this year. The power numbers are there. The average is there. He's staying within himself, driving the baseball to all parts of the field. Today is a day that he will never, ever forget. Let's see if he can do some damage.
Dave Brundage, the manager for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, said he's a totally different player. Now, he's got contacts now to help his vision, but everything is through the middle, and it's hit hard as well. His numbers were very good, not only from a power standpoint, but just from a batting average standpoint against righties and lefties.
And that's what you really like to see. 347 average, 6 homers and 17 RBIs. Those numbers, I don't care if they're little league, those are ridiculous numbers, and this hopefully he can carry that over to the big leagues.
22 home runs when he was in single A with the San Francisco Giants organization. That's why he was the centerpiece of the Hunter Pence trade. So he'll make his Major League debut tonight. Jeremy Hellickson will be on the mound for the Phils. Brandon Finnegan, who the Phillies saw earlier this season, will be on the hill for the Cincinnati Reds. Well, there's a couple of bright spots for the Phillies on the road trip, but the brightest of spots, Odubel Herrera. He has been lacing the ball. He had a big-time game last night. We'll get to the lineups and first pitch when we return to Citizens Bank Park. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. By Toyota. Get a great deal on your favorite Toyota during the Toyota Time Sales Event. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. The next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. Philadelphia Phillies, after a long road trip in which they were 5-5, they now get a chance to settle in and sleep in their own beds for a few days. They begin tonight with this series against the Cincinnati Reds. It'll be the final time that they'll face the Cincinnati Reds because they saw them earlier this year, the first week of the season, and the Reds swept out the Phils in Cincinnati. So they're looking for a little retribution here tonight and the rest of this weekend. It's all part of a 9-game homestand for the Philadelphia Phillies that'll run through next weekend. They're just waiting now for the Phils to take the field. Jeremy Hellickson was a little late getting back into the dugout, and the Philly fanatic is trying to entice the Phils to get out onto the field and get this ball game started. By the way, we've been gone for a while. This playing field looks unbelievable here tonight as we get set for this series against the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, look how gorgeous it looks. You know why, Ben? Because there was a lot of precipitation while we were gone.
You think? I saw Noah a couple days.
Well, it was raining for most of the day here in Philadelphia. The Phils did not take batting practice out on the field. They took it inside, but the sun has popped out, and here they come. The Phils return home. Jeremy Hellickson will trot out to the mound to face the Reds for the second time this season. He was the opening day starter for the Phillies against the Cincinnati Reds. So as he begins his warm-up tosses out on the mound, let's take a look at the Reds lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Leading it off at shortstop, Zach Cozart. Eugenio Suarez will be at third base batting second. Joey Votto hits third, followed by Brandon Phillips and Jay Bruce. Adam Duvall, the left fielder, hits sixth. The bottom third of Tyler Holt, Tucker Barnhart, and Brandon Finnegan. And they will face Jeremy Hellickson. So far 2-2. I guess you could say up and down this year for Jeremy Hellickson, Ben.
It has been. For the record, I will refer to Suarez as Suarez.
You don't want to say Eugenio?
Not really. But it has been kind of up and down for Jeremy Hellickson. But as long as he's working ahead and throwing strikes, he should have some success this evening. As we take a look at the scouting report for Jeremy, average velocity, he'll sit right about 89-90. He's a 4-pitch pitcher, will be able to get back in counts with his breaking ball, his curveball, and also his changeup, and very good career numbers against the Reds with a 2.25 ERA.
All right, Ben, I know you've been waiting for these. Here are your Nissan keys to the game.
Tommy Joseph, just stay within yourself. It's a night you'll never, ever, ever forget. So just do what you're doing in the Lehigh Valley and let everything take care of themselves. And Jeremy Hellickson, better pace out on the mound. Seems like he gets into methodical rhythm out there. Better pace and stay ahead, work ahead of these hitters.
It's interesting you say stay within yourself. Kids, players have heard that their entire lives. But for him, he's a work in progress defensively over at first base. Offensively, he said he sensed last year when he was in the Gulf Coast League that things were starting to get back to normal for him from an offensive standpoint. And as we mentioned during the open, if it works out, it's one of the best stories in Major League Baseball. A one-time top catching prospect who sustained one concussion after another, fighting back, taken off the 40-man roster, and now with an opportunity to make his Major League debut. And he was great today, just talking to him about the whole situation. Zach Cozart will lead it off. He's having one of the better years for the Cincinnati Reds. .330 hitter with 4 home runs. He was 4 for 7 against the Phillies the last time they faced each other. First pitch of the night is taken outside, so we're underway. Cozart 3 for 3 against Jeremy Hellickson. And it's even 1 ball 1 strike. Swing and a miss. Sometimes Jeremy Hellickson will go soft and then softer to keep the hitters off balance. That has worked some nights. Other nights it hasn't worked. And in particular, you think about the game against the Washington Nationals the first time he faced them. Swing and a miss. He went softer, and he gets Cozart to swing over top of that off-speed pitch. 1 out here in the top of the first. Murph, we don't always want to remember numbers from a previous series, but refresh us. What happened the last time they faced the Reds?
Yeah, it's not like I want to bring up a bad topic, but it was a bad topic the first time the Phils met the Cincinnati Reds. Jeremy Hellickson, as you said, got the opening day start for the Phils in Cincinnati. Certainly pitched well enough to win, but, well, the bullpen back then was not pitching well, and you see what happened. The Phils ended up going 0-3 in that series. They didn't hit very much, just 2-0-4 as a team. They scored 10 runs in those 3 games. The starters ERA, that was solid, but the bullpen's numbers, you see that right there, 12.91. On the flip side, the Reds batted .274. They scored a ton of runs, 19 runs, 4 home runs they hit during that series, and got pretty good pitching as well. So, what is this? Well, welcome to Philadelphia. Time for a little payback. I would think this is what this team is thinking about.
I like it, Murph.
That's right. We're feisty today.
You really sound tough down there, Murph.
Thank you. Like Dirty Harry.
Youngsters back home are going to have to Google Dirty Harry.
Yes, they will.
No balls and 2 strikes to Suarez. Suarez is hitless in his last 14 at-bats. Last time the Phillies faced the Reds, he had 2 home runs. Overall hitting .238 with 6 homers and 18 RBIs. Swing and a miss. He got him. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hellickson. 2 outs.
Looking good so far. As long as you stay out in the zone. The 0-2 pitch before that was not a good pitch. Chooch wanted it up and in, but then comes back with that changeup down in the zone. It comes out of his hand hot, but then it just dips and dives, and you're swinging over the top of it.
Well, we can already see that the game plan is a little different, even though Hellickson went 6 innings the last time he faced the Reds and did not allow an earned run. His game plan then was to use the fastball to establish the off-speed pitches. Tonight it looks like he's just trying to establish the off-speed stuff right out of the chute.
Well, of course, scouting reports have changed also since the first series of the year.
1 ball, no strikes to Joey Votto. Votto takes on the inside corner, 1-1. Votto had a strange series against the Phillies when they faced the Reds out in Cincinnati. He helped win 1 game, but he went 2 for 12 overall in the series. He had some awkward swings.
A ton of ugly strikeouts.
Weird looking strikeouts.
Yes. Much like the Freddie Freeman swing we saw last night.
Yeah, he was fooled.
The emergency hack, and it just wasn't working.
I'm going to get a fastball. I'm going to get a fastball. Nope. Reds as a team come in 14 wins, 20 losses. They are already 11.5 games out in the National League Central. Curved ball hit foul. So 1 ball and 2 strikes to Joey Votto, 2 away here in the top of the 1st inning. Jeremy Hellickson has thrown 12 pitches so far. In the dirt. Even though Joey Votto has had a different year than what he expected, hitting .234, his reputation still forces you to pitch him with a certain amount of respect.
You always have to be careful with this hard-hitting Canuck.
Speaking of Canucks, our Canuck was walking around the booth a little while ago.
Yes, he was.
Swing and a miss. He got it with a cutter. He struck out the side. All 3 strikeouts swinging. It began with Zach Cozart, the hot-hitting shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds. He got him swinging on an off-speed pitch. Then Eugenio Suarez. He may have been looking fastball, but was out front. This time, they tied up Votto. We'll go to the bottom of the 1st. The Phils coming up for the first time. The Phillies will see Brandon Finnegan for the second time this year. Let's take a look at the Phillies lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity. The Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Herrera, Hernandez, and Franco, followed by Carlos Ruiz batting cleanup. Freddie Galvis hitting fifth. Tommy Joseph will bat sixth tonight. Tyler Goodell gets the start in left. He'll hit seventh. Jeremy Hellickson bats eighth and batting ninth. Then playing right field is Peter Borges. They will face Brandon Finnegan. The last time he saw the Phils, he was so-so. He went 6 innings. He allowed 3 hits, but he did strike out 6. Not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, though.
He's not, but he is a hard-throwing lefty. And a pitcher, if he's getting his changeup over, can be very effective. Very good numbers on the road. 2.5 ERA over 3 ball games. 3 pitches, he'll sit right about 92. If he's getting fastballs in on righties and changeups down and away, he can be very effective.
Well, he's going to face the red-hot Odubel Herrera, who was 1 for 11 against the Cincinnati Reds. And honestly, he was all kinds of confused in that opening series. I'm not saying that everybody was concerned, but he was off kilter.
He looked bad.
He looked bad. He has not looked bad ever since. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Brent Hildenbrand of Easton. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. Then Brent will win $100.
Good luck, Brent. It's been a while since I had to say that, Tom.
Well, you needed to get his attention. Inside, 2-1. Odubel has hit in 10 consecutive games. He had a fantastic road trip. Hit .415 on the road trip. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2.
Never seems like Odubel's out of at bats. That was a big sweeping curveball. Probably come back with it again or try and dot a fastball down and away, but he just seems to find a way to get on base.
He hits that one the opposite way.
Man.
It's a way to get your banner on television.
The young lady there was
scared.
Didn't know what to do. She was a deer in the headlights. It's coming.
Should I catch it? Should I catch it? Oh, it hit her hand. Yeah.
Man. Break her wrist.
Odubel stays alive and it remains 2-2. Here's the numbers from the 10-game hit streak. 17 for 41. 7 runs scored. Outstanding on base percentage. He has a .474 batting average now overall with runners in scoring position. 2-2 pitch to Odubel. Inside, 3-2. Finnegan was trying to sell that one.
This is a typical example of what he's been able to do since moving back to that leadoff spot. Finnegan already at 12 pitches. Well off the plate.
All 4. So Odubel draws the walk. So a base runner. Finnegan not pleased.
I don't know what he's complaining about. It's a ball. Could you really ask for anything more out of Odubel Herrera?
No, I don't think he can.
He can't.
I know the extra base hits are down, but I think they're going to come and he's going to pile them up the way he did last year. Here's Cesar Hernandez. Cesar takes low, 1-0. Odubel does have 6 stolen bases. Finnegan, being a lefty, even though the Phillies saw him earlier this year, I would think it'll take some time to get used to him.
And he's had some close calls over there recently on having to get back and dive into first base.
Including last night when he was called out and then replay helped the first base umpire. 1 ball and 1 strike. Runner goes. They may have him picked. Votto's throw to second base is perfect. That'll be a caught stealing. It'll go down 1-3-6 and 1 away.
Finnegan able to just dangle his leg there. You see, just drops over and almost looked like Odubel's going first move. Votto does a good job of clearing the lane for himself so he wouldn't throw it in the back of Odubel.
And Cesar bunts toward third. It dies in the grass. No chance to throw him out. Barnhart was probably better off just to hold that ball. There was no way he was going to get him since he picked it up. But he decided to make the throw. Nothing awful happened, but the Phils have another base runner.
The competitive nature in you says go get it, go get it, go get it. But you're right. He's got to let this ball at least try and spin foul because he deadens it just perfectly. I don't think it would have gone foul, but you got to at least try because Hernandez beat it by a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was toward the edge of the grass, and if it spun a little bit more, it could have just rolled off the ledge. Maikel Franco, the batter, he was 3 for 10 in the opening series. At that point, he was swinging the bat very well. He was coming off a solid spring training. He finished up the series against the Braves with 3 hits and 12 at bats. He had one of those frustrating strikeouts last night in the 10th inning.
On an at bat that I'll be honest was kind of disappointed in. And just the swing never shortened up, and you got to put a ball in play there.
Inside 2-1.
But it's all part of the learning process for him as a young hitter in the big leagues. Are there times when you take a swing and come out of your shoes? Yes. There are going to be times like that when you know you're going to get a certain pitch in a certain situation, cut it loose. Other times it just calls for you to put a ball in play.
That one's pulled toward third. Suarez goes to second for 1, and that's going to be an easy around the horn. 5-4-3 double play. Phil's get a couple base runners, but they do not score. No runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. We'll go to the second. A scoreless ball game here in Philadelphia. Have a respiratory night here at Citizens Bank Park, and that free cap to all fans. It's all part of a Saturday night here at the ballpark. You can get tickets by going to Phillies.com. Not just some of the fans, all of the fans get that hat. Brandon Phillips will lead it off as we move to the top of the second. Phillips wound up playing just one of the games between these teams out in Cincinnati. He was 0 for 3. He had a stomach ailment in games 2 and 3.
He has been their hottest hitter.
Yeah, he's hit an 8 of 9. His average at .286 with 6 home runs and 17 runs batted in.
Jeremy very selfish last inning, not letting any of his teammates get involved in the defensive work.
I wouldn't mind seeing that again.
I'd love it. Be as selfish as you want.
Over to shortstop, Freddie Galvis. A few steps to his right.
Love to see Freddie attack the baseball like he's been doing. Stay on top with his throws. It's something he noticed last year, getting around, dropping down with his arm and having balls sail and sink over towards Ryan Howard at first base. Staying on top, staying more true with the baseball.
Here's Jay Bruce. Bruce had 2 home runs when the Phillies faced the Reds last time. Since that time, he has 4 home runs. So 6 overall. Cutter inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Out to right field. Peter Borges going back toward the scoreboard, and he has room. Little different story here compared to Turner Field. There's so much room at Turner Field.
Yes.
Peter, sometimes I think outfielders who are really good, and he's a really good defensive outfielder, they like a lot of room. You know, they can roam around, they can go angle to angle. Here it's a little different story. He had to pick up the wall a little quicker than he did at Turner Field.
They don't mind a lot of room, especially when you can run like Peter Borges can run. That outfield in Atlanta is very spacious from right field towards center.
Adam Duvall, acquired by the Reds last year from the Giants. He's also been hot lately. He's hit in 6 of 7. That one's lined in left center field. That'll be in for a base hit. Goodell going to try to cut it off, and he will, but Duvall will get to second base, and he's there with his 9th double of the year.
Oh, smoked. That left center gap. I've seen more balls hitting the left center gap over the last couple days. It's been something. Of course, the big one last night by Cameron Rupp, but Duvall gets a sinker. Nice job of staying down on it. Some guys want to lift up, especially with their upper body. They end up getting a ground ball to shortstop, but he stays down on it and drives it.
So he's in scoring position now for Tyler Holt. Holt is playing center field tonight for Billy Hamilton. Billy Hamilton has been placed on the bereavement list. Chopper foul over toward Billy Hatcher. And it's no balls and 1 strike. So here are the Reds transactions from today. Billy Hamilton placed on the bereavement list. Jose Peraza has been called up from Louisville. Brian Price is suspended for 1 game. He is going to watch the game in the GM's box. And Ross Ohlendorf suspended 3 games for an altercation against the Pirates, and he's going to appeal his suspension. Brian Price, it's a 1-game suspension, so he'll be back tomorrow.
Yes.
So we're going to miss.
I talked to Brian for about a half hour today. He was my pitching coach in Seattle. Nice always catch up.
So Jim Riggleman is the manager, the interim manager for tonight, acting manager.
He's got a little bit of experience.
Just a little bit. Billy Hamilton, the story, it's a sad one. It's his nephew, Casey Cole, his sister's son, 3 years old, killed in an auto accident.
That's tragic.
He had sent out a tweet when Casey was trying to get a hold of him through FaceTime. I guess one afternoon recently, the last couple of days, and he missed his FaceTime call, and then the accident occurred a little bit after that. Here's the 0-2 pitch up the third base line. That's going to be a tough play. Franco bare hands, and he'll just hold on to it, and everybody is safe. So the Reds have first and third with 2 men down. Well, this is the reason why Ross Ohlendorf was suspended. The former Princeton product hit David Freese. It sounded like it hit his bat. The benches had already been worn, so Ohlendorf has been ejected from the game, and of course Brian Price gets ejected as well because the benches were worn. So once that happens.
Jeff Kellogg, very good umpire. Very good umpire, but in my opinion, there's nothing malicious. There's no ill intent there. The way guys dive out over the plate, I didn't think that was that bad of a pitch.
It also did sound as if the ball hit the bats.
Yes. But to give a guy 3 games for that.
Which is why Ohlendorf has decided to appeal the suspension. So Tucker Barnhart hitting .279, a home run, 6 RBIs. Ball is smothered by Ruiz, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. The Reds starting catcher, Devin Mesoraco, is out with a torn labrum. He is out for the year.
He just had surgery on his hip last year. Same thing.
Curveball, that's in. 1-1.
Hopefully the Phillies can get out of this unscathed, but smart play by Mike Hill not to throw that ball. Holt was getting down the line very quickly, and nice job just to hold on to it, eat it.
Now the pitcher, Brendan Finnegan, is on deck. You might think maybe he work around the number 8 hitter, but that's a guy that's hit the ball pretty well in 15 at bats. He's 5 for 15. It's the most hits for a pitcher. I don't know if you would do that this early in the game anyway.
There's some good numbers though. 333.
Out to left field, Goodell on the run, out toward the wall, and he makes the goal. He dropped the ball! He had it and dropped it. 2 runs will score. And the Reds take a 2-0 lead. He took an odd route after the baseball. And I don't know if he took his eye off it or not. It looked like it just clanked off his glove.
It was a very odd route. He starts going back and then has to come in on the ball. And he just clanks it.
Well, that'll go down as an E7. No RBI, so 2 unearned runs score for the Reds. And Finnegan is now the batter. Tyler has been rather sure-handed so far this season. He's made a couple of spectacular plays also out in left field. Finnegan falls behind, no balls and 1 strike.
Not often will you see a pitcher with a man on second get started off with a breaking ball. But as you just alluded to, those numbers. Errors like that are tough because you have a pitcher out there battling, could have got out of there with no runs. Especially a team that doesn't score a whole lot of runs like the Phillies.
Reds, meanwhile, have scored their share of runs. Ellingson throws out Finnegan. Side is retired. 1-3 on the putout. 2 unearned runs scored. 2 hits for the Reds. They leave 1. We'll head to the bottom of the second with Cincinnati on top 2-0.
Countdown is on for the NBA lottery.
Sixers CEO Scott O'Neal and play-by-play man Mark Zumoff will join us next week.
Plus, we'll have a full recap of Eagles rookie camp. See you Monday at 6 on the Comcast Network.
Well, it's going to be a busy weekend here in Philadelphia with this series against the Cincinnati Reds. Phillies trailing 2-0. 2 unearned runs scored for Cincinnati in their half of the second. So Brandon Finnegan just finishing up his warm-up tosses because he was at the plate when the inning came to a close. He'll face Carlos Ruiz, Freddie Galvis, and Tommy Joseph. Reds have already used 9 different starting pitchers. That's when you know a team is struggling. Their bullpen has been maligned as well. They've already changed closers. But 9 different starting pitchers 6 weeks into the season.
Brian Price told me today they have no closer. It's just whoever he thinks can do the job that day. And then he told me that they have 2 saves. I overlooked that stat looking through the numbers today. 2 saves.
It's part of the reason why their team ERA is at 5.18, because if you look at the numbers, their starters have not been, even with all the numbers they have, 9 starters. Starters haven't been terrible. You know, quality starts is sometimes an overused statistic around baseball, but they have 9 quality starts in their last 14. Carlos Ruiz batting cleanup tonight, hitting .288 with 3 homers and 6 RBIs. And he takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Carlos played in 1 game against the Braves. He was 1 for 3 in that ball game.
Saw Finnegan take his time making the last out of the inning, going, getting some water, coming back out. One of my favorite teammates of all time, Woody Williams, starting pitcher. He'd make the third out, go right to the mound. Position player would take his cap and his glove out. I loved it. Loved it. So let's get going. Don't need any water.
Well, he's the kind of guy, Woody Williams, who was a very good hitting pitcher.
Yes, he was. University of Houston, shortstop.
He wanted to play the game.
Yes, he did.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Ruiz. Up and away, 2-2.
I just always thought that was very cool that he did that. He was the only pitcher I've ever seen do it.
Carlos tried to hold up, and he went around, says the first base umpire, Vic Carapazza. So a strikeout and the first out.
I thought he went.
Didn't look like he went on that. There's Vic Carapazza, our spring training umpire.
Every game.
Every game. DJ Rayburn behind the plate. John Hirschbach is the veteran at second base. Carapazza probably saw the upper body move as much as it did, and that is probably what led him to think that Carlos went around.
Barnhart's got a nice mitt. I think he's singing back there. Pitchers used to love that.
Oh, you mean because of the popping?
The pop.
We're amplifying the sound though when the ball hits.
Yeah,
the,
but I always thought that catchers with the better hands always got that pop because it means it wasn't hitting the sidewall of the catcher's mitt. You're catching it cleanly in the pocket. And that's why you get that pop.
Break it down to catching position.
Well,
now that one didn't really get the meat of the glove.
no. So that must have hit a sidewall. Get you on there, Freddie.
And he bunts up the third base line. Suarez charges, and Galvis is aboard. Shocking that he would do that with the count 3-1, but it was a beauty of a bunt.
We always love it when it works out, and it worked out there. Nice job.
Well, here comes Tommy Joseph in his first major league at bats. Well, there's his dad and his mom. His dad John, his mom Paula. 12 friends and family members who have made the trip from Arizona to see Tommy make his major league debut. I think that was one of the only times he got emotional today, was talking about that. As Finnegan gets him to swing at the first pitch.
Why not? Let her eat.
It's always that great story from Daniel Nava, the Boston Red Sox. Joe Castiglione, the radio voice of the Red Sox, was doing an interview with him. He said, make sure you swing at the first pitch. It's going to be a fastball. And he hit a grand slam against the Phillies. Ball gets away, and Freddie gets to second base.
Heads up play. Always have to anticipate that ball in the dirt.
They scored a pass ball. Trying to make sure they get the perfect shot. Inside, 2-1.
Anyone use a video camera anymore?
The only one I would think of that would be you.
Yes,
because
I
you
do.
use a portable DVD player still.
Still use those little discs. These are real miniature ones. That's right. All the nerves they're feeling right now.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Tommy talked today about the last 3 years. This is a young man who had 22 home runs as a single-A catcher with the San Francisco Giants, was the foundation piece in the trade that sent Hunter Pence to the Giants. And everybody that you talked to with the Giants said, man, you got a good prospect here. This kid is going to be special. And he said the last 3 years with all the injuries, it weighed heavy on his mind that he was not reaching his goals and helping the franchise. 2-2 pitch. Low, ball 3.
It's also something you have to have concern about from your own personal well-being. Concussions are not something to take lightly. You know, something that can carry you, they can stay with you for the rest of your life at times.
And his concussions, a lot of them happen because of foul balls, some because of contact. Three balls and 2 strikes to Tommy Joseph, and his first major league at bat hit .347 down at Lehigh Valley. Swing and a miss, and he strikes out. Second strikeout for Finnegan, but there will be more opportunities.
It's a changeup here. It's a good pitch. It's not that bad of a bat. Yes, he struck out, but he got to take a few rips, which is good. He's seen them now, knows what to expect, saw all 3 pitches, which is good as well.
Well, everybody's dream is to become one of the 67 National League hitters to hit a home run in your first major league at bat. But as we mentioned, he will have opportunities. In fact, Pete Macadam said that there will be opportunities for Tommy Joseph. One ball, no strikes to Tyler Goodell with a runner at second. And Goodell fouls it. It's 1-1.
Liking that changeup tonight.
He's liking the changeup, but he's liking the fastball in the inner half to right-handed batters. I guess you could say to lefties too.
Yeah.
But to right-handed batters in particular.
As we mentioned, he likes pitching on the road.
In the dirt, 2-2. Well, his last victory was on April 16th. Since that time, he's 0-4 with an ERA of just under 6 in 4 games. Guy the Reds acquired from the Kansas City Royals a year ago.
Yeah.
For Johnny Cueto.
Threw a heck of a ball game yesterday.
Fly ball, shallow center field. Coming in is Holtz, and he'll get there. And the Phillies are retired here in the second. No runs, 1 bunt single, and 1 man left. We'll go to the third. Reds 2, Phillies nothing. Trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, here's the question. Who is the only current Red with 5 or more 25 home run seasons? The answer will be revealed later on in the game.
I'm torn.
We don't throw you cupcakes like they do on radio. There's Zach Cozart to lead it off. Top of the order for the Reds here in the top of the 3rd. Fly ball to center field. Odubel Herrera makes the grab for the first out. Well, since the first meeting between these two teams, the Phillies are 20-12. Phillies got off to an 0-4 start on the year. They've won 7 series. Now they've been outscored 123-105, but the Reds have been outscored by 62 runs.
And they should have won the 2 out of those 3 games in Cincinnati, I believe.
I would agree with that. It's hard to say that, but because they didn't. But
right,
you're right. No balls and 1 strike to Suarez, who struck out his first time up. A little low.
Eugenio.
It's close enough.
Suarez.
I bet you his teammates call him Eugene. Eugenio lines one to the gap in left center field. Goodell will get to it and then throw to second base. It holds Suarez to a single. I'm surprised he didn't try to go to second base.
Very
I know
surprised.
He went a pretty good distance. I don't know if he would have made it. I think he would have, but I'm surprised he didn't take a chance.
I think he definitely would have made it because Tyler Goodell is a righty, and all that momentum is getting him going towards that left center field gap. It's hard for him to gather himself and get the momentum and make a good solid throw back to second base. Watch how he goes after this baseball, and for him to get to it, all his momentum is continuing towards that golf sign, and then to come back and fire across your body, it's tough.
Ground to foul, and it's no balls and 1 strike. And 2.
It's hard to get a pitch away on Votto. Called for a strike because of how close he stands to the plate.
I think he was upset by, well, maybe he was upset he didn't swing at that ball. He was upset about something. They got him with a cutter the last time, and a pitch moves outside.
He's a guy that chokes up a lot on the bat to begin with, but when he gets to 2 strikes, he goes even higher on the bat.
Do you like that style?
Works for him. He's way up there.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Quick toss over to first. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Pirates and the Cubs are final at Wrigley Field. Chicago wins it 9-4. Jason Hamill improves to 5-0, 6 2/3. I didn't think he was going to make it through the 6th inning, honestly. He was in a little bit of trouble, but he had a comfortable lead. Swing and a miss. Votto is struck out. 4 strikeouts for Hellickson. With that victory by the Cubs, their lead in the division is 7.5 over St. Louis, 8 over Pittsburgh, and 12 over the Reds. Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, and David Ross all homered.
They're really not missing Schwarber. And that's hard to believe because of the power that he provided last year.
The other part of it is they're not missing him, and Jason Hayward is not having a very good offensive year. Hitting just .216. He does not have a home run. He has 13 runs batted in. High with that breaking pitch.
I always love how Chooch just wants to throw it back, but he just kind of holds it there. That's my tip that he wanted the pitch.
Did you have a tip as a catcher? Was it the same thing, or did you just say something?
I would do that sometimes. Shoot, a couple times I'd get up and throw it around the horn if I thought it was strike 3.
Knowing that he already called it a ball?
No, but
Oh.
I just thought it was that good a pitch where he had to call it a strike. They did not like that.
Did you say my bad when you did it?
Sometimes, depending on who the umpire was. If I didn't like him, I wouldn't say anything, or I'd just say you missed it.
Runner goes, pitches inside. The throw to second base by Ruiz on one hop is in time. Suarez thrown out for the first time this year. And the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and nobody left. Carlos Ruiz able to nail the base runner at second base. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd, 2-0 Cincinnati. Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Delval Honda dealer. Visit DelvalHondaDealers.com. By WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right and buy your local Ford stores. I wasn't sure if Mike was actually manning the camera or not. It looked like it was all by itself. been known to happen from time to time. Camera's got a mind of its own. Jeremy Hellickson will lead it off here in the bottom of the third. Nope, at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. We'll plate umpire DJ Rayburn tonight.
Good swing there.
Ball was hit to a tray of nachos.
That's a shame. As Finnegan noticed that good swing by Jeremy. Went to the off-speed pitch.
Jeremy fouls it off again. It's the 5th 3-ball count for Brandon Finnegan. Jeremy is 2 for 10 so far. He's got to throw him a hook or something, right?
No.
Keep throwing on a fastball?
I would. Although they have been some really good swings.
Outside, ball 4.
Nice peepers. Finnegan wants it.
It's the second batter he's walked where he's wanted the out on the pitch. Peter Borges is coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, I think you started the broadcast off by saying it is good to be back in Philadelphia. It is good to be home, and it certainly is. The Phils on that long road trip where they played 19 of 22 games on the road. They went 13-6 in those games, which was very, very impressive. Just those 3 games at home in the middle of that with Cleveland where they were able to sweep the Indians. But the Phils have played more games on the road than any other team in Major League Baseball, 22 so far, only 13 games at home. But the good news is, yes, 19 of the next 25 here in Philadelphia, in front of the fans here in Philadelphia. So hopefully, as well as the Phils have played on the road, they are one of only 7 teams that have a winning record on the road and at home throughout Major League Baseball. As well as they've played on the road, hopefully coming back here, they can put them on a little bit of a run, and they can continue to do what they're doing, guys.
Pete was talking yesterday just how excited everybody was to get home and off a successful run. Peter Borges hits that one out toward right center field. And it's tracked down by Tyler Holtz. Back to first base goes Jeremy Hellickson. 1 gone. And you think about it, there were different stories that were written today and different notes that were drawn about the Phillies start. Who's the surprise team in baseball? Well, it's the Phillies.
Yes.
And I think you have to, you take it with a grain of salt because it's still early in the year, but I think you have to applaud the job that Pete Maccannon's done. The Mariners are a big story. The White Sox are a big story. I mean, this is, this has been fun to watch.
It's been very fun to watch, and I like to hear that people are behind this ball club. You hear a lot of chatter about it. I think he was taking that pitch, Tom. But I couldn't agree more with the job that Pete Mackanin has done. I applauded him last night and the fact that he had Freddie Galvis. Who would ever think Freddie Galvis would be in the 5-hole and hits a 2-run homer? It's like those kind of moves you're thinking, why would Freddie ever hit in the 5-hole? Well, last couple games he's been good in those RBI situations.
Well, go-ahead RBIs too. He has 8 go-ahead RBIs.
Yeah.
Murph was talking about the numbers at home and on the road, how they have a better than .500 record both places. Now, at home, they're only hitting .208. That you would think will increase as the year goes on. Pitching well here. One ball and 1 strike to Odubel. And he pops it up. Over to shortstop, Zach Cozart.
A little backup cutter or slider there at 85 miles an hour. I don't think it was a changeup. Just backed up on him and got in on Odubel's hands. Odubel not very happy. Yeah, it just kind of backed up.
Cesar bunted his way on his first time up.
The only 2 hits the Phillies have are bunt hits.
Finnegan has thrown only 2 first pitch strikes tonight. Part of the reason why his pitch count is rising. It's at 53 with 2 outs here in the 3rd. But as Ben said, he's only allowed those 2 bunt hits. Tried to hold up. Doesn't matter. It was called a strike.
Just a tough pitch, 3-1. Not going to be able to do anything with it.
In the dirt, ball 4. So the Phils will get 2 base runners with 2 men down. Michael Franco is coming up. Follow the Phillies with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment. Live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Quick meeting on the mound. Mark Riggins, the pitching coach, coming out.
He's got 15 seconds left.
Music in the background, a little tick-tock.
That'd be frustrating though for a pitching coach. The 3-1 count, he dots you down and away. Perfect pitch. Gets a full count. He tries to overthrow. Yeah, it was 94, but he spiked it in the dirt.
Yeah, they're facing a guy tonight that is dancing in and out of trouble here.
Yeah. Like a hitter getting a good pitch hit, over swinging. Other times you get beat by a pitch, you're quick and react to the ball, and you hit a bullet somewhere.
Michael hit it to a double play his first time up. He did hit a bullet, and there was a pitch to hit, and he lets it go by. It's no balls and 1 strike. Got Hellickson at second base, Hernandez at first. That one's looped out towards center field. That should drop in. And no, Holt comes sliding in to make the catch. It hung up for him, and he puts it away for the final out. No runs, no hits, and 2 men left. Phils have had some base runners here tonight, but nothing to show for it. Nice jump by Tyler Holt. He puts it away, and we'll go to the 4th inning with the Reds on top, 2-0. Swing lines, huge selection of laminators and shredders. Whether you're preserving your best work or safely destroying your most confidential documents, Swing Line and W.B. Mason deliver cut above the rest. Who but W.B. Mason? Well, there's certainly some kids here at the ballpark. That's nice to see. Got a little bit of energy watching the Phils and the Reds.
They get into your Reese Cup stash?
I don't know. They may have. Matt, our camera operator, is a very giving person. He may have found those peanut butter cups. He may have tossed them to him. Jeremy Hellickson warming up here in the top of the 4th inning. These are the last 7 meetings against the Reds. This is surprising because the Phillies before this had a lot of success against the Cincinnati Reds, but the Reds bullpen at the time, led by Aroldis Chapman, put up some pretty good numbers. But even in the series in Cincinnati, the Reds bullpen was better than the Phillies bullpen. So the Phils are looking for a victory to end that streak.
And just to get the homestand off to a good start. That first win on the board.
Brandon Phillips will lead it off. He grounded out to Galvis his first time up, 0 for 1.
Brandon was trying to shoot that ball to right for a single. Need a chiropractor if I swung like that.
Think about the potential trade that was on the table during this offseason. How the National League East could look so different. Brandon Phillips, there were a lot of reports, was going to go to Washington to be their second baseman. But he opted to decline the trade. Now, part of that is because he has a 10-year contract that he's in the middle of. Actually, he's not in the middle of. He's toward the end of. It runs out next year. But the 10-year contract, he was looking for an extension to that contract. At least those are the reports. He strikes out here. So he doesn't go to the Nationals. And what do? Well, they sign Daniel Murphy, and all he's done is hit over 400.
Yeah.
To start the season.
You do give up a bit defensively, as Brandon Phillips still can pick it with anybody at second base. But I think the Nats are happy with 400 average.
400 average. You know, Phillips is costing, and he's a wonderful guy.
Yes.
But he's costing $13 million this year and $14 million next year. That's a pretty big salary to pick up. Jay Bruce lines it on one hop to shallow right field. 2 outs here in the 4th inning.
Those shifts, when they work, they are amazing.
By the way, Daniel Murphy is making less money this year, $5 million less than Brandon Phillips. Next year he'd make $1 million less, and then the year after that, Phillips is not signed, but Murphy makes $17.5 million. He's still hitting over 400. Here's Duvall, who doubled and scored one of the unearned runs. One of the 2 unearned runs for the Reds. He breaks his bat down the left field line. Galvis is on the run. He's not going to get there. And Duvall is going to have a base hit. Boy, that was a good pitch. But that's a strong fella to be able to put it out in left field like that.
Very strong. And Tyler Holt is a lucky man. He's got one in the jugular.
Oh, did the bat go
he
flying
was
back there? I
ducking
didn't
for
even see
cover.
that.
That went off the netting. That would have definitely ended up in the stands. And he was scrambling to get out of the way. He's trying to catch his breath. I would be too.
If you remember back in the 70s, Steve Yeager, the Dodgers catcher, had that happen to him, where a piece of the bat clipped his throat. Toss over to first. Bill Russell's bat shattered in pieces, and a large piece of that pierced the esophagus of Steve Yeager while he was in the on-deck circle. So, I mean, Ben, you were a catcher.
Yeah.
When you were younger, the throat protector, which you see Ruiz wearing now, but it's a metal bar.
Right.
That was a dangling piece of plastic, hard plastic, that would protect the throat of a catcher. That was basically designed for and by Steve Yeager.
Wow. Did not know that.
I shouldn't say that he designed it. The Dodgers trainer at the time designed it with Yeager's help. And if you played Little League baseball, if you played high school baseball back in the late 70s, 80s, that throat protector, which dangled down, was the same one that was worn by Steve Yeager. That was all around baseball.
All the little leaguers still use it.
Inside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
It ended up being a beautiful night. Gorgeous.
That it did. Hopefully it continues throughout the weekend.
Yes, that would be nice. It is gorgeous. Swing and a miss. He got him.
He leaves a base runner. 6 strikeouts for Hellickson. On to the bottom of the 4th. Phillies trail at 2-0. By Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com to find your RAV4 today. Toyota, let's go places. Let's go Phils. Phils trail at 2-0. 2 unearned runs for the Reds. Back of the 2nd, so we'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. And they'll get a chance to face Brandon Finnegan. And let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph?
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, this may be one of the coolest things I get to do in my job. Say hello to John and Paula Joseph, the proud parents of Tommy Joseph, making his Major League debut today. That sounds pretty good, does it not?
It sounds awesome.
You know, the reporters asked him earlier today when he walked out on the field for the first time, maybe for stretch, was he going to be able to take it all in? And he said, oh, absolutely. What about you as you see your son take the field in a Major League ballpark for the first time?
This is incredible. It's been a dream of his since he started playing, and just to see it come true is just amazing.
Paula, it has been a long time coming, obviously, and we all know the story in Philadelphia as we have followed the health concerns of Tommy with the concussions and everything, and he's finally here. Was there a time that you thought maybe it wouldn't happen for him?
Well, we were always worried about that, and his health is definitely a concern, so we're just really proud of him and so happy that he didn't give up and he kept working hard and always believed in himself and his skills. So we're just thrilled that he's here, and it's an amazing atmosphere and an awesome day.
What was it like when you guys found out? Did he give you a phone call? Is that how it happened?
He did, and it was a very emotional phone call. Like I said, it's a moment he's dreamed of for years, and finally came true, and
I can see the emotion, no doubt about it. You have family and friends here. There's 12 of you, and nice that you were able to get in. A lot of you from Arizona, right?
Yes, a lot of us took the red eye last night and got in very little sleep, and we're just thrilled to be here. It's awesome.
Well, we're not going to talk while he comes up the bat, so I just wanted to say thank you. Enjoy the night. It's a once-in-a-lifetime for sure, and you're working on adrenaline. That's a good thing. That'll be all right. Guys, we'll send it back upstairs.
All right, Murph, thank you. As Tommy lingers in the on-deck circle, and Freddie Galvis is up, and it's 1 ball, no strikes. 4 walks now for Finnegan, and now a meeting with Tucker Barnhart. You know, what is not lost on Tommy Joseph is his role with this organization. Hunter Pence was a very popular player when he came over from the Astros. He was a tough guy to give up. The Phillies were, falling out of the race. The Giants were looking for an outfielder, and the Phillies traded him to the Giants for Seth Rosine and Tommy Joseph. But Joseph, and he knows this, he was the foundation piece of that deal. And he said that he couldn't help but notice, in some ways, the disappointment of the Phillies fans over the last few years because of all the injuries that he sustains. And I thought seeing Joe Jordan's eyes light up after spring training this year when we asked him, was there a guy that really has surprised you this year in spring training? in the minor leagues. He said Tommy Joseph.
Right away.
And, you know, the Phillies have been with him throughout these concussions. He was taken off the 40-man roster, and Tommy told us today, he said, listen, I was just happy that they gave me a chance to come back to the organization in one way, shape, or form.
And he wasn't just a catching guy. He just wasn't an offensive guy that happened to catch. He had the whole package. Unfortunately, like you said, with the concussions, had to move positions.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The other thing is he's dropped some weight since the start of spring training, which has helped him, and he's continued to work at first base to become a better defender. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Galvis strikes out. 1 away. Now here comes Tommy Joseph.
Just get that first one out of the way.
I think this day is probably sped through or sped by slowly. I don't know if it's been quick or not for Tommy. He was just waiting for the chance to get going here.
I think he's more anxious than nervous because it still really is the same game he just played in the Lehigh Valley. It's the same game you played in Little League. It's just at a little quicker pace. And I don't mean the velocity of the pitches, just everything. How fast the guys are, how quick the infields are, the way the ball comes off the bat. And that's why one of my keys to the game was for Tommy just to stay within himself. Don't try and change anything because you're at a stadium with a 3rd deck on it. Just relax. Obviously easier said than done.
The Joseph paparazzi are getting their shots. Up high, 3-1.
Finnegan really flying open with his right shoulder, his lead shoulder. He's missing away and up to a lot of righties. Not able to get on top of the ball.
Eight 3-ball counts for Finnegan.
I look for something out over the plate here.
Up high, ball 4, so he walks, and that's the 5th walk issued by the Reds left-hander. All right, so he's aboard.
And that's 73 pitches through 3 1/3.
Well, Mark Riggins going to the phone. Looks like they're going to get somebody up. 5 walks. Goodell flied out to center his first time up. 0 for 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, now Riggins is going to go out. Finnegan takes a walk to the back of the mound. That's Steve Delabar over from the Blue Jays organization. I don't think that Finnegan was happy that he was coming out, but he would think he needed a break. I mean, he's 5 walks and he's fallen behind everybody.
Yeah.
The Eagles began a 3-day rookie camp today. Hear from Carson Wentz and get your first look at the 2nd overall pick of the field in an Eagles uniform in a special edition of Quick Slants presented by Nissan Saturday at noon on Comcast Sports Network. Goodell takes a strike. Down the right field line, it is a fair ball. It'll head to the corner. One run is in. Joseph's around third. He's being waved home. Goodell going to third, and the Phillies have tied it up. It's a 2-run triple for Tyler Goodell. He just kissed the chalk down the right field line. And we're tied up at 2. Tommy Joseph scores his first major league run.
I'm thinking there's no way that ball stays down, and it's fair. He hit it. I said, well, that stayed on top and drove it the other way, but I'm thinking this ball's got to slice foul. It does not. It's a good level swing there, just inside the paint down the right field line. Tommy Joseph, run scored. Get that uni dirty. He was picking them up and putting them down.
So now Jeremy Hellickson, who walked his first time up, and he bunts up the first base line. The runner's coming home. They don't realize it. It turns out to be a safety squeeze that gives the Phils a 3-2 lead. Barnhart looked back at the last moment and didn't realize that Goodell was coming home. I think he was debating on whether he should pick that ball up or not, and that sort of jarred his mind a little bit.
I put this on Suarez saying, you know, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. That would alert Barnhart just to say, you know, maybe I can get this and retreat towards home plate. Just a lack of communication there on the Reds' part, but the Phillies will take it. Nicely executed.
So it's a safety squeeze, a sacrifice for Jeremy Hellickson. Safety squeeze because Goodell off third was not going on the pitch. He was waiting for the contact to see where the ball was going to go.
Kids watching at home, see what walks do to you. Throw strikes.
2 walks in this inning, 5 walks overall. 3-2, Phillies on top. Borges lines it to center field. That'll be a base hit.
He stayed on 2 pitches thus far in this game. One he drove out to the right center field gap, was caught by Holt, does it again here.
Well, Delabar looks like he's ready to go. Jim Riggleman is not going to make a change yet because he's got lefty on lefty. Inside, 1 ball, no strikes.
Is that what it looked like to you? There's just no communication there by the Reds on
Absolutely.
that squeeze.
Now, I don't know, looking at the replay, if he had gone back, if he would have gotten him. It would have been a close play. I think he would have.
I didn't see first of all, I didn't see a whole lot of hop out of Barnhart getting out of the box.
Now, should he have let it roll foul or try to let it roll foul?
I would have just gone and gotten it. Watch, he doesn't really pounce on it. It'd be like a cat back there. You got to go get it. Right there, he kind of slows up.
Yeah, he would have had him.
I think he would have had enough time to retreat and get Goodell. And it's almost he looked back too late. Thinking, oh yeah, here he comes.
Chopper foul toward the Phil's dugout.
I think that's just another example of things that Pete Mackanin has instituted. And he said he was going to do it in spring training just to show other teams that he can do it. Well, he's still incorporating this into his regular season attack. That play looks so simple, but yet it was perfectly executed.
Here's a look from above on that play. Gives you a little different perspective on the bunt and where Barnhart had to go. Now, Goodell was moving pretty quick. See, he slipped too.
I just think it's still worth a shot.
Yeah.
It just seemed like Adele snuck up on him coming down the third baseline.
Runner goes. Pitch is swung on and missed. Throw to second base, not in time. And Borges has stolen his first base of the year.
Great jump. Really not a whole lot Barnhart could do. Oh, to be able to run, Tom.
Boy, it's been a long time since his last stolen base. I didn't realize it was July of last year.
Especially for a guy with wheels like him.
Swing and a miss, and Herrera strikes out. Barnhart will flip it to first, and the Phillies are retired here in the fourth, but they do get 3 runs in the inning. They capitalize on 2 walks. We'll head to the 5th inning here in Philadelphia with the Phils up 3-2. On Sunday, and then welcome in the Miami Marlins for a 3-game series. It all begins Monday night at 7:05. It's a Hatfield Dollar Dog Night here at Citizens Bank Park. It wraps up with a Citizens Bank Business Person Special on Wednesday. It's Weather Education Day, presented by NBC 10. Tucker Barnhart will lead it off here in the top of the 5th. Finnegan is out on the on-deck circle, so they're going to let him continue, it looks like. Barnhart reached on an error his first time up and led to 2 runs for the Reds, 2 unearned runs against Hellickson.
See what that 1-0 pitch was a veteran pitcher. I say veteran. No, it's only 29, but veteran on this staff, taking advantage of a younger hitter. 1-0. Catcher's thinking, Barnhart being the catcher, thinking he wants to get back in this count with a fastball. I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna attack him. Jeremy says, I'm not gonna give in right here. So I'm a changeup. Swung right through it.
And he's had a good changeup tonight too.
Yes. Now, if you're a hitter in that situation, you think to yourself, I know he doesn't have enough giddy up to get it by me. If he dots you down and away with a fastball, then, you know, so what? It's 1-1.
floated out towards center field. Odubel covering some ground, puts it away, 1 out. Yeah, that'll bring Brandon Finnegan to the plate. Well, the Phillies' fantastic auction is still going on. 50 unique items, memorabilia, trips, and experiences. One of the experiences is take Jeremy Hellickson to your school. You've heard about take your child to work day. Well, Jeremy is putting a twist on this tradition. It's take a Phillies player to school day. Unique chance for one special student to shine at school as he or she and 3 friends are escorted into school by Phillies opening day starter Jeremy Hellickson. Limo ride for the students and 3 other schools from home. Jeremy will meet the winning student and friends outside the school and escort them inside. He'll then participate in a Q&A. How great is that?
Very cool.
It closes May 17th at 9 Eastern time. Some of the experiences, if you go to Phillies.com/auction, a fantastic auction. Some of the experiences, you know, there's some great items, of course, but there's some experiences that are once in a lifetime opportunities. I was here last year going to do a basketball game when the sleepover was starting to take place in the clubhouse. They had just arrived. The kids had just arrived, some of them, not all of them. And they were through the roof with excitement. The lockers were set up with their names on it. They had T-shirts. They were going to watch a movie, take batting practice, and spend the night in the clubhouse.
Very cool.
One-two pitch. Outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Finnegan has worked the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now you figure he's going to have to come back with a fastball. He's thrown a couple of off-speed pitches in a row.
Looks like it. That was a good swing there by Finnegan.
Finnegan had no at-bats during his college career. Ball 4. So he walks the opposing pitcher. And that is the first walk issued by Jeremy Hellickson. And back to the top of the order. Well, we talked about it before, how the Phillies are better than 500 at home and on the road. Not so much for the Reds. They've been good at home. 2 games over 500. Meanwhile, on the road, they're 2-10, hitting .234.
You'd stay in one night, huh?
On the outside quarter, it's 0-1. Well, they've been to some pretty good cities, Ben.
Apparently.
There's a lot to see. Pittsburgh. New York. There's a lot to do there. Chicago. St. Louis. A lot of the restaurants are closing because of that ballpark.
Yes.
Ballpark Village. Ground ball to shortstop. Might be too soft to turn 2. There's one. Well, they might turn 2. They will. Cesar Hernandez whipped it over to first in time. 6-4-3. Side is retired. We played 4.5. We'll move to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Phillies lead the Reds 3-2. Pitched well yesterday, 6 2/3, 1 earned run. Meanwhile, Reading defeated Trenton 3-0. Ricardo Pinto had a no-hitter through 6 innings of work. Threshers defeated Dunedin 5-2. And Lakewood defeated West Virginia 6-4. Citizens Bank, the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a Citizen.
What the big holdup is here?
Well, it's something to do with Steve Delabar, who is warming up out on the mounds. Jim Riggleman is talking to John Hirschbeck, the second base umpire.
Did they make a double switch, or
can they, or did they?
I'm saying maybe that wasn't. If they wanted to, maybe they didn't make the signal, the proper signal.
It's a good question. I mean, the manager does have to go out to the umpire and let them know. I don't know. I'd be guessing if I said that was it. Finnegan did bat and walked. Finnegan peeled out of the way, so there was nothing wrong there. I wonder if they were asking if he had a certain amount of time to warm up out on the mound. Again, we're guessing as far as what it is. But the 4 umpires came together. They talked for a few moments, and then John Hirschbeck went to the dugout, or pointed to the dugout, and waved his index finger, basically saying no, 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 but not sure why he was waving the index finger.
Huh.
So Steve Delabar is the new pitcher, and Cesar Hernandez will lead it off.
Then he told Delabar to just keep throwing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
Fly ball left field. That's pretty well hit. Duvall going back. He has room at the track, and he makes the catch. And there's one out.
Ball had some good carry to it. Just not enough.
Maikel Franco is due up. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded out into a double play, and he's also flied to center.
Folks at home probably thinking why they didn't use a pinch hitter. They only have 4 bench players.
Correct.
So
that's a good point.
That adds a different dimension to the game.
Yeah, and he only has 15 at bats, but he's 5 for 15. He can handle the bat.
Yeah.
But they have an extra pitcher and 1 less position player.
Right.
Popped up. Barnhart, the catcher, floating.
That was not 2 hands, Tom.
It was not. Well, it's time now for our timeless moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. On this date in 1954, Robin Roberts allows a leadoff home run to Bobby Adams and then retires the next 27 batters as the Phillies defeated the Reds 8-1 at Connie Mack Stadium. He must have been something to watch, Robin Roberts, during the course of his Phillies career.
Probably pitched 2 days after that, too.
We got to know Robbie before he passed away, and he was a special fella on so many levels. It became a tradition each and every spring, and even during the season, where we would get a chance to interview him whenever he was in town, and we always marveled at how current he was with the game. Carlos fouls it off. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Robin Roberts won 20 games or more 6 different times. He threw 300 innings 6 times. Hit 297 in the third 1 other time. Carlos lines a single back through the middle, so he's 1 for 2.
That's the difference in the swing that I've seen out of Chooch. Is he getting a little more rest this year? Yes. Maybe that's quickening him up a little bit more, but this is a tough pitch to hit, especially for one to stay back through the middle. It was up and in. You see him clear his hands through. That's a tough pitch, and to barrel it like that, I think the last couple years he's gone at it too hard. Swung too hard, and he did either pop up or a ground ball. That's a very short swing there by Chooch.
Votto is playing behind Carlos at first base. Over to first, and Votto makes the play. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left for the Phillies. We have completed our first 5 here in South Philadelphia. The week has plenty of reasons to smile throughout the first month plus of the 2016 season. Odubel's success a season ago has continued into his second campaign. After reaching base in 21 straight games in April, the numbers keep coming in May. The energetic center fielder is among the NL's best in on-base percentage. Walks, singles, pitches seen, and hits. Herrera never lacks flair on the diamonds. In a flash, he's moving from base to base. And it's all brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, there is Odubel Herrera as the Phillies lead it 3-2. And as we go to the top of the 6th inning, he hasn't really been a part of it yet. He did have a leadoff walk, but he had a frustrating couple of ABs. The Reds have just asked for Jeremy Hellickson to throw the baseball back in and get a new one from the home plate umpire.
Chooch bounced it on the throw down to second in between innings.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Well, that is why Suarez, who ended an 0 for 15 stretch, his last time up with a single, he'll lead it off. Curveball. It's a methodical outing tonight by Jeremy with a good mixture of his off-speed pitches.
Using them all.
Got him out front of an off-speed pitch there. 7 strikeouts for Hellickson and 1 away in the 6th inning. Well, earlier today, there was a big event going on at the Mayfield Elementary School. The Fanatic was there, Sarge was there, Scott Palmer was there as well. And they were there to honor Diana Callahan. This is Teacher Appreciation Night here at Citizens Bank Park, and that bench is a big part of the program that Diana has implemented at the school. And that mom you saw was Jill Barlow, whose son Danny has Down syndrome. And they wrote about Diana and what she has done. And she is now standing by with Greg Murphy. Murph?
She is indeed. And I was just saying to Diana, what a day for you. You woke up this morning and had very little idea that any of this was happening, right?
Absolutely. It was truly such a huge surprise. It was amazing. The students were so excited. I was obviously floored. I'm not one for a lot of attention for myself, so that was something that was just a lot for me to take in, but it was an incredible day for our school and an incredible celebration of a very special boy.
You know, Teacher Appreciation Day, when you stop to think about what that means, we all have been through school. We've had teachers that we loved and that have made a difference in our lives. I would imagine certainly that's part of the reason you went into your profession. When you have a day like today and you realize that, wow, I am making a difference, it's kind of validating, is it not?
It is, and you know, I was talking to my colleagues today about like the whole celebration and everything, and I was saying how we never stop and think about like the impact that what we're having may make. And we don't look for accolades for it, but when you get them, it really goes to show you how much of a difference you really are making in the lives of so many kids.
So they surprised you today with the assembly, and Danny, who is one of your most special students. Tell us a little bit about him, because he was a big part of what today was all about.
Absolutely. As much as I felt like today was revolved around the teachers, I feel like it really had everything to do with Dan, and he has been an incredible part of our school. He's been included since he was in kindergarten. He's now in 5th grade, and he's moving on to middle school, and I think he's just changed our school in so many ways that would have never been possible had he not been through there.
You know, a lot of your colleagues are here. Your family is here as well. It has been a special day. I should tell folks you're a lifelong Phillies fan, right? So this is kind of cool.
Absolutely. I said to Jill, who's Danny's mom, she couldn't have picked a better thing for me personally, because the Phillies are my team. So yeah, it's amazing. So many people that I love are here in support, and it's just been an incredible day.
Before I let you go, Tom mentioned the buddy bench, which was a focus of today's assembly as well. And can you tell us a little bit about that, because you were a big part of that as well?
Yeah, so we raised money through the World Down Syndrome Day celebration, and the money that we raised we used to buy the buddy bench. And the buddy bench was decorated by Danny's 5th grade class, so it's kind of in memory of his class, which is really cool. And it serves a purpose at recess. So the kids, if they're feeling lonely or that they don't have someone to play with, that they can come and sit on the bench. And the hope is that another student will see that and invite them to come play with them.
Well, Diana, congratulations on representing all of your colleagues and the teachers all over the Delaware Valley on Teacher Appreciation Day. Certainly, you've made an impact, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we'll send it back upstairs.
All right, Murph, we appreciate that. And anybody wants to find more information out about the Buddy Bench, you can go to buddybench.org, and you can check out some of the programs. Brandon Phillips pops it up right side. Some awkward swings in this inning by the Cincinnati Reds. Jeremy Hellickson will take it. A 1-2-3 6th inning. He's been outstanding. 2 unearned runs through 6 innings of work. We move to the bottom of the 6th inning here in Philadelphia. Yep, she's a star now. Phillies up 3-2. Toyota. Get a great deal on your favorite Toyota during the Toyota Time sales event. Toyota, let's go places. Buy McDonald's. Jumpstart your morning with a hot or iced McCafe coffee. Now starting at just $1. And buy Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Tommy Joseph will lead it off here in the bottom of the 6th. Then he rips one foul down the left field line. No balls and 1 strike. Joseph has struck out. He's also walked. That was against Brandon Finnegan. This will be his first at bat against Steve Delabar. Delabar follows the fastball up with a changeup. And a foul tip hung on to by the catcher. One away.
Delabar got away with one there. 0-2 hanger. Definitely a good pitch to hit. He does get away with it. Look at that pitch. Whew. Tommy in disbelief he missed that one.
Tyler Goodell tripled home 2 runs his last time up. A fly ball to right center field. Going back on it is Jay Bruce. Back toward the wall. He has room and he makes the catch. And there are 2 outs.
Gave it a ride. It's not far enough.
He worked the count his first time up and walks. Can't say anything. He wants that pitch too.
That was a strike.
Swing and a miss. Hellickson strikes out. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Delabar. Side is retired in order. We have 6 in the books here at Citizens Bank Park. A 1-run lead for the Phillies. Goodell with his first major league triple, and it turned out to be a 2-run triple that tied the game. The Phils then took the lead when he scored on a safety squeeze. We go to the top of the 7th inning. Jeremy Hellickson, 6 innings, 2 runs. Neither run is earned, 7 strikeouts. As we look at our Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. From here in Citizens Bank Park, Hellickson made the final out in the bottom of the 6th, so he'll face Jay Bruce, Adam Duvall, and Tyler Holtz. Well, it's time now for the Jeep Stump the Fans trivia quiz answer. All right, here we go, Ben. Who is the only current Red with 5 or more 25 home run seasons?
I'm going to go with Jay Bruce.
Only current Red with 5 or more 25. Yep, that's true. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
Production cavity starting us off easy on this homestand. I like that.
You know, when I read it, I was thinking for the next couple innings, I was thinking I forgot the word current was in there.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about George Foster. He's got to be on that list.
Eric the Red.
Eric Davis. And then it dawned on me that I said current. And then I figured it could only be Jay Bruce.
I remember watching a game, Reds at the Vet. Eric the Red went up top 3 times for a combined distance of like 1,600 feet. They were moonshots. You look at him, a little skinny little guy, but he could buggy whip it.
Bruce out front. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. He buggy whipped it to 282 career homers. A lifetime average of 269. Michael Franco is part of this shift. He's on the right side for Jay Bruce. 2-2 pitch coming from Hellickson. Swing and a miss. He got him with an off-speed pitch. 8 strikeouts for Jeremy Hellickson.
Has such good arm speed on this changeup. Yes, the speed is good, but the location is even better. Some very good movement on it as well.
Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1-2-3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. The 8 strikeouts ties his season high. 10 is his career high. This is a game where he has just pitched backwards and has done it very effectively.
And using the changeup to righties and lefties. See that location? What are you going to do with it? It comes out of his hand and you're thinking it's fastball the way. Swinging over the top of it. Just perfect location.
Swing and a miss. 9 strikeouts for Hellickson. And that is a season high, 1 shy of his career high.
3 in a row. 3 changeups in a row. It's just called not making the adjustment. See that circle change? It's very good arm action. Ball way out in front.
So now with 2 outs, Tyler Holt will be the batter. Holt reached on an infield hit his first time up and then struck out in the 4th inning. Fastball misses in. 1 ball, no strikes.
Scouting reports are good to a point, but if you have a pitcher on a given night that has a certain pitch that you know you can throw at any time. I wouldn't say you totally disregard that scouting report, but you know that you have that in your arsenal, that like Jeremy does tonight, that really good changeup. And you can just keep going to it.
Out to right center field, Odubel Herrera, long run in and over, makes the grab. A 1-2-3 seventh inning for Jeremy Hellickson. He has not allowed a hit since the 4th inning. It's time to stretch here in Philadelphia. The Phils lead it by 1. Go to the bottom of the 7th, 3-2. Phillies on top. Time now for a Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Mike Franco gets a fastball in on the inner half, and Holt comes in and lays out. Not a whole lot to cheer for thus far in this ball game, but that's a good play by Holt. That is your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Phillies lead it by 1, 3-2. Steve Delamar gave the Reds 2 scoreless innings, and now as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, it'll be former Philly J.C. Ramirez pitching in his 9th game, an ERA of 5.40. And he's going to face Peter Borges, who's had some good swings tonight. 1 for 2.
The 2 balls really well to the right side of second base, one to the wall in right center, and a bullet line drive to center.
It'll be Borges, Odubel Herrera, Cesar Hernandez for the Phillies here in the bottom of the 7th. And Borges bunts right in front of the plate. Barnhart has it, throws to first, not in time. Boy, he's really using his speed here tonight.
I think I'll just outrun the baseball. Now, the Reds might take a look at this because it was so bang bang, but it's just not the best of bunts. He deadens it very nicely. He just outruns the ball. Not even close.
I wonder if J.C. Ramirez had fielded that, he had less of a turn to make to first base on the throw. I still don't even know if he would have gotten it.
It really wasn't bouncing off the mound.
Peter Borges has stolen a base tonight. Odubel Herrera is 0 for 2 with a walk. Struck out, popped out. There he goes, and the pitch is sliced out to left field. Borges doesn't know where it is, now realizes it. He'll head back to first, and he'll get there, slide it. Slid it second, slid it first.
Sliding everywhere.
Despite the walk in his first at bat, it seems to be a frustrating night for Odubel offensively.
Yeah. Would love to have seen him take that pitch. Borges had a very good jump.
Cesar takes low. Borges is going to be in a rundown. How he got up and got away from Joey Votto, I don't know, and then is eventually tagged out. He was going to go again. And it goes down as a caught stealing. 1-3-6.
He was going and just spins his wheels.
I don't know. Votto didn't get him.
Very elusive.
Toyota Major League Scoreboard. The Mets lead the Rockies 2-0. Kevin Plawecki, a 2-run double for New York. Matt Harvey on the hill for the Mets. 21-13. They have one more win. The Nationals and the Mets have one more win than the Phillies do. Phillies, however, have a couple more losses. Knocked down by Votto, flips softly to Ramirez, and the side is retired. 3-1 on the putout. No runs, one hit, a bunt single. Nobody left. We'll head to the 8th in a one-run game. ShopChooseNissan.com and by Jefferson. Call 800-JEF now or visit jefferson.edu. Phillies are on top 3-2. We'll go to the top of the 8th inning. Game 1 of this 3-game series. Jeremy Hellickson went 7 innings tonight, allowed 2 unearned runs. This is probably the best we've seen him this year.
Well, it's the best I've seen the changeup, that's for sure. I don't remember him missing up once with that changeup. Had Joey Votto all kinds of confused. Changeup, changeup, changeup. Mixing a few breaking balls, mixing a few sinkers, inducing a double play here. Another changeup. Another changeup. And to finish off Duvall with it as well. Just an outstanding performance by Jeremy Hellickson this season.
Yeah, it's a season high 9 strikeouts for Hellickson. So his 2 starts against the Reds, 3 runs, none of those runs are earned. Hector Neris is the new pitcher. Andres Blanco comes on to play first base. And Barnhart out in front of that split, and it's 0-1. There's Blanco. Tommy Joseph's night is done. Center field. Odubel got a late start, but plenty of time to get back to it. And Jordan Pacheco is going to come up to pinch hit for the Reds. 22,230 tonight's attendance. And tomorrow you see the play ball logos that are on the field up the third base line, the first base line. Phillies will help commemorate that around baseball. It's a weekend of trying to get even more kids involved in the game, not only playing games, but also with a handful of different events that are going on at the Urban Youth Academy up the road. Pitch hit and run. Were you a part of that pitch hit and run?
It's part of the Phillies camps. Yeah. Hit one out of the vet.
How old were you when you did that?
From shortstop.
Oh. Well, that's still a poke.
Never showed you that piece on YouTube?
I have.
Brad Now did it, put it together. It was excellent.
I have seen it.
It was really cool.
How old were you when you did it?
I was, I believe, 11, 10 or 11. It was pretty cool. Went off that back drape. That, remember at the vet they
Black
had the
drape,
black drape.
Yeah.
Yep.
I played a softball game. It was a media softball game when I think I was writing for the Trenton Times at the time. We played there. Yeah. I did not hit the black drape with the softball.
And afterwards we got a hitting clinic by Michael Jack. Very cool.
1-2 pitch to Pacheco in the dirt, 2-2. Well, there's going to be a cool moment tomorrow where some of the kids that are going to be here at the ballpark will have the opportunity to go out onto the field and trade caps with their favorite Philly player. Phillies will wear the play ball T-shirts tomorrow. Before the start of the game, they take BP.
I think that's the next step for Hector Neris, being able to command that fastball. When everyone's looking for that devastating split, be able to dot that fastball. In, out, up, down. He'll get so many called third strikes looking.
Swing and a miss. There's the split. 10 strikeouts tonight for Phillies pitching. And now to the top of the order for Zach Cozart. Comcast Be a Fanatic About Reading Day will be Saturday, May 21st when the Phillies take on the Atlanta Braves. It's part of a 3-game series against Atlanta. A Fanatic children's book, free defense, 14 and under. Order your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. One ball, one strike. Fastball that runs away. 2-1.
Tom, I never asked you, how were those 3 hours of sleep you got last night?
Great.
Yeah?
Refreshing.
Now, how you do it?
I got an extra hour on the plane. I fell asleep on the plane.
Yes, you did.
Fastball at the knees, 1-2. I felt bad. I fell asleep, and my buddy John DeSangro, our associate producer, who I share a row with, I always feel bad if I fall asleep, because then Sang, if he has to use the restroom, it's a little tougher task for him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tapper up the third base line, a foul ball. Over toward the hole, backhanded on one. Good hop for Freddie Galvis. And he throws out Zach Cozart, a 1-2-3-8 inning. 3 straight 1-2-3 innings for Phillies pitching. Up by 1, 3-2. The 8th inning here at Citizens Bank Park. Well, each and every day we come to the ballpark and we have a blast. There's no question about that. But we came to the park today and we received some real sad news. Our buddy Josh Schrager, who is the original Callis Award winner. You know, we're giving out the Callis Award again this year as part of the Philly Broadcasters Foundation. Well, he is a remarkable part of our staff in the production cavity. Works for Comcast Sportsnet, works with the Sixers telecasts as well. Well, Josh's father, Ralph, passed away earlier today, and we want to send our condolences and our thoughts out to Josh. Just a special kid who had some great things to say about his dad. As a father, I hope that one day my kids can say the same things that Josh said about his dad and his passing. And we want Josh to know that we're thinking of him. We're thinking of his family during this very terrible time. As Josh said, he's thankful for every wonderful moment that he had with his dad in his life. And we echo those same sentiments as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning here in Philadelphia. Maikel Franco will lead things off with a single the opposite way. So he is aboard. And Carlos Ruiz is coming up.
That's what I like to see. Use that whole field. There's a lot of green out there.
Blake Wood is the new pitcher. This is his 18th ball game. Jedmar Gomez is warming up in the bullpen, but any pitcher, any closer would love to have some insurance runs. There is Jedmar. That base hit by Franco, by the way. It ends an 0 for 11 stretch. that saw his average dip under 240. Carlos trying to add to his night. He has scored a run to go along with his single his last time up. And Carlos strikes out for the first out here in the 8th inning.
Tough pitch at 91 to make a ball move that much.
Freddie Galvis is coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murphy.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Time for greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. And former #1 pick for the Texas Rangers, Matt Bush, has finally made it to the major leagues. He was drafted #1 back in 2004, but alcoholism and then a DUI that ended up in a serious injury ended up with him in prison. He was released 7 months ago, guys. He has been called up by the Texas Rangers. He has certainly gotten his life in order, and he's going to get a chance in Major League Baseball, a second chance for him. Todd Frazier also getting a second chance after diving into the stands the other day and getting 5 stitches in his chin, but he says he's back in the lineup tonight against the New York Yankees and is feeling just fine, so he avoided some serious injury as well. And also Adam Jones, number 200 tonight for the Orioles, 200th home run of his career, so congratulations to him. That is all brought to you by T-Mobile, guys.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a career, Adam Jones. That ball's hit to second. That could be 2. Phillips to second for 1, and it's a double play. 4-6-3 double play. Side is retired, so no insurance for Genmar Gomez. Just a 1-run lead. He's got to be used to it by now. We'll go to the 9th. He's looking for a save when we come back. To the top of the 9th inning here at Citizens Bank Park. Genmar Gomez, the major league leader in saves, will come on to try to pick up his 14th of the season and try to secure another 1-run victory for the Phillies. 12-3 in 1-run games this year. Phillies are also aiming to move 6 games over the 500 mark for the first time since they finished the 2011 season with a franchise best 102-60 record. That's the thing, you know, this has been, I mean, as far as starts go, It's not one that anybody saw coming, but it's been as enjoyable as you'll find around Major League Baseball.
Especially when the offense has struggled so much. I mean, there's just really no other way we could say it. I mean, the offense has struggled, and the defense has picked them up. Timely hitting, and obviously the pitching.
It's not even close as far as the victories go. 5 more victories than the next closest team in one-run games. The Reds are 7-5.
Let's hope that continues.
Suarez will lead it off, and he takes outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Suarez is 1 for 3, singled back in the 3rd. Tapper foul. Steady as she goes. That's what Pete is all about. He doesn't deviate too much, except for his humor. It's always there.
Sarcasm tends to be there as well.
Oh yeah. One ball and 2 strikes. Pete has been very realistic about the club too, and about the offense. You know, he's very content with the fact the Phillies have reached 20 wins, but he still is searching for more offense. Doesn't know where it's going to come from, but he's searching. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the pitch to Suarez. On the outside corner with a fastball. 1 away.
Good luck trying to hit it, but how do you not give up on this if you're a right-handed hitter? How much this ball comes back. Maybe a little bit off the plate, maybe a little bit down, but close enough.
So now Joey Votto, who was 0 for 3, a couple strikeouts and a ground out. He tried to pepper the outside part of the plate to the left-hander there. Gomez with his 13 saves, 1 more than Jeurys Familia of the Mets, and then 2 more than Kenley Jansen, Steve Cishek, and Sean Tollison. Cishek and Tollison are tied for the American League lead with 11. He is not your typical closer because he's not going to throw mid-90s with a mid-90s fastball. But even beyond that, he's not your typical closer because he's not going to do it with 2 pitches.
Right. He said the other night he needs to throw them all. He has to throw them all.
He throws a changeup there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now he's got a chance to throw the changeup, the 2-seamer, the cutter, the split.
You never want to get beat to the pull side in 1-run ball games, but I take my chances tying him up instead of letting him get his arm distended. That last swing was a good swing.
1-2 pitch, and he hits him. So he's aboard. So the tying run is at first base. And now Brandon Phillips is coming up. Following the ball game, Marlon Anderson is here to break down the homestand opener. Plus, you hear reactions from manager Pete Mackanin and the team. Only on Pure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Postgame Live. Pete taking a look at the matchups.
No, Votto isn't Ricky Henderson over there at first base, but if you're going to take a lead, you might as well get a little bit more than what he's getting over there. Could be the difference in getting thrown out at home plate or making it.
Yeah, he's got a Yadier Molina lead over first.
I don't get it.
On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, Miami and Washington are tied at 2. Stephen Drew is homered for Washington. Nationals, the Mets, each with 21 wins. Miami right behind the Phillies with an 18-15 record. Phillips has grounded out. He has struck out and popped out. 0 for 3 tonight. That one's hit towards short on one hop. Galvis has got it to second for one. Over to first in time for the double play. And the ball game is over. The 13th one-run victory of the season for the Phils. They win it 3-2 over the Reds to take game 1 of this 3-game series. This is the highest winning percentage in one-run games in Phillies franchise history. 13-3. It's an .813 winning percentage. And Jedmar Gomez pads his major league lead in saves. He has now saved 14. Jeremy Hellickson is our Chevrolet player of the game. 7 innings tonight, 4 hits and 2 unearned runs. He improves his record to 3-2 with his effort here tonight.
They keep getting it done.
The combination of Neris and Jedmar Gomez has been fantastic. In our W. Mason delivery of the game, he had an error that led to 2 runs, and this is a game of redemption, and he redeemed himself.
He definitely redeemed himself and took it down the right field line. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that ball gets down. It gets down fair. Tyler Goodell, the player of the game, presented by W.B. Mason, and he is with our very own Greg Murph. Murph, take it away.
All right, guys, you said it. That's the beauty of baseball. It's all about redemption. Oh, and I know you didn't expect that one. You gotta love Andres, huh? They just talked about redemption. Let's talk about that play in the second inning, because your outfield defense has been so good all season. It was a long run for that ball, but I'm sure you'd be the first one to say, hey, got to catch it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a play you got to make 100% of the time. Just took my eye off it. Helly was pitching his butt off out there, and it's not a good feeling when something like that happens. But luckily I was able to redeem myself.
Let's talk about the good feelings, because you get up there with opportunity to do some damage, and you're able to do that. A triple here to knock in the 2 runs. Talk a little bit about that at bat, and what's going through your mind as you set up for that?
Yeah, I'm trying not to do too much. Obviously, I wanted to make up for what happened earlier, but just trying to stay within myself and put on a good swing, and I got a pitch, and a couple of guys were on base, luckily, and able to put a couple runs across the board.
And then you get the sign for the safety squeeze. What's going through your head at that moment?
Yeah, I was exhausted when I got to third, and then first pitch squeeze. It was fun. Helly put down a perfect bunt. Awesome. It was awesome.
Just another 1-run win for this team, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way we'd have it.
Well, maybe one of these days you'll win by 4 or 5. Tyler, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Guys, back upstairs.
All right, Murph, thank you very much. Tyler Goodell, part of the storyline here tonight. The 6-4-3 double play wraps it up for the Phils. 13 one-run victories here in 2016. They win it by a final 3-2. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.